On my plate right here is the most powerful fat-burning macronutrient you could eat. It is often underestimated, underutilized, and undereaten. But is it the red meat, the vegetables, or the pasta? Stay tuned to find out through a phenomenon called DIT.
I love this, the law of thermogenesis. And so which uses a principle called DIT. So can you explain why this could be the most important thing for any fat loss plan?
DIT, not ZIT. No, I'm just kidding. DIT. Yeah, the law of thermogenesis, and really DIT, it stands for diet-induced thermogenesis. And really, there's one particular macronutrient that this applies to. It's one food, it's underrated, it's underutilized, it's underconsumed, and it's protein. And we always hear about how to manipulate fats and carbs, but nobody talks about protein manipulation at all. And when it comes to burning fat after 40, protein is king. And most people just underestimate this and they underconsume it. So every single meal that you eat should have a complete protein source. And the reason why is because protein has the highest DIT of any food. So just the act of your body digesting protein burns almost 3 times as many calories as when your body digests fats or carbohydrates. So protein is the only macronutrient that will actually increase your metabolism while you're dieting. Okay. It's also the only macronutrient that will decrease your hunger and cravings. I mean, let's think about this. What's going to fill you up faster? A basket of bread or a big plate of beef, right? I've eaten an entire basket of bread and I want another one, right? I get a plate of beef and I can't finish the dang thing, right? So beef is always going to fill you up. So protein is the most satiating nutrient. So on a diet, it's the key to not being hungry or having cravings. And that's one of my secrets to how I stay lean year round. I always keep my protein intake sky high. It's also the only macronutrient that prevents muscle loss on a diet. Now, muscle equals metabolism, especially if you're over 40. The second you turn 40, your hormones decline and sarcopenia starts taking place. This is just a fancy word for muscle loss. And increasing your protein intake is the only thing that's going to stop the sarcopenia. And so when you have more muscle, you're going to burn more calories while you're sleeping, while you're watching TV, while you're sitting at your desk. So don't underestimate the power of protein, and then consuming it before bed increases your muscle protein synthesis. So there's all kinds of research showing that consuming 20 to 40 grams of protein an hour or two before bed not only increases muscle mass, it allows you to wake up with more stabilized blood sugar. And the people who consume this protein before bed typically lose more weight than those who don't. And so you have more stabilized blood sugar when you wake up, which means when you wake up, your body is going to start burning fat faster because your blood sugar and insulin are stabilized. So most people underestimate the power of protein. I'm going to go ahead and just mention how I calculate my protein intake. And then I'm going to let Terrell chime in because Terrell doesn't like the taste of meat or the texture of meat. So she's kind of like what are you? What do they call it?
Pescatarian.
Pescatarian. That's right. Fish.
Yeah.
So we're going to let her touch on that in just a minute. For me, I'm the staples for me are always beef. It's always animal proteins, chicken, turkey, fish, eggs. I tolerate dairy very well. So I think cottage cheese and Greek yogurt are also great protein sources. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention protein powder. I'm a huge fan of whey and casein protein. Carol's more of a fan of like pea protein, and she can talk a little bit about that. But for me, I personally consume 200 grams or more of protein every single day. Now, when I'm dieting and at the end of 75 hard, I was consuming 275 to 300 grams a day. Okay. Wow. Which is a lot. And I couldn't do that without protein powder. Now, keep in mind, when I started that program, I weighed 194 and I ended at about a 196 or 186. So I lost like 8 pounds during 75 days. I didn't have a ton of fat to lose to begin with. However, I didn't get hungry because of the high protein intake. And I knew that at least 1 gram per pound of your ideal body weight per day, if you exercise, is the minimum. So if you're 150 pounds, your ideal body weight is 130 pounds. You should be having a minimum of 130 grams of protein per day, a minimum. Now, keep in mind, I was 190-ish and I was having 250 grams plus, and now I still have 200 grams per day. So I'm consuming well over that, right? And it still allows me to stay lean pretty much all year round. So Terrell, you want to go ahead and talk about your protein sources and how you handle it?
Yes. Okay. So I eat fish. That's my main kind of animal protein. But so I take, because if I know how important protein is, and I think a lot of people know that you need protein to build muscle, but what a lot of people don't realize is every building block in your body is protein. Your hormones are protein, like everything is protein. So when you are low in protein, you're really putting yourself at a huge disadvantage to even be able to run through all the cellular processes that you do. Yeah. And
because protein is life. You can't live without, like, you can live without carbs.
Yes.
You can't live without protein.
You cannot.
Period.
No, and there are certain diets out there that would even warn you against having very much protein because of the insulin response, when at the end of the day, this is one of the huge detriments to these diets that would like you to limit protein because of an insulin response. So anyway, so I take an amino acid supplement, not a branch chain, because that's only 3 of them. I take one that has all 9 essential amino acids. I take that twice a day. I drink a protein shake that is a vegan protein shake with pea protein in it. My favorite vegan protein is pea protein because it's a very fast absorbing protein and it's very usable protein like whey, and it actually performs very similar to whey protein in studies. And so I do that. Also, hemp protein is outstanding. If I had a choice, it would always be pea and hemp. However, brown rice I will take as a B-. And so if it's hemp or if it's pea and brown rice, great. Hemp and brown rice, great. But anyway, so I do that. I also am very, very particular about the amount of garbage I consume. And so my foods are all very, very, very clean.
Got it. Yeah. Awesome. So the cool part is plant protein has come a long way here over the last several years. They're doing a great job of developing formulas that are very complete. You know, one of the big complaints years ago about plant proteins is that they didn't contain all the amino acids necessary to absorb them. We now know the body will help fill in that missing gap from other foods as well, right? So even if it's a plant protein that doesn't have all the amino acids in it, other foods that you consume, your body will basically take the amino acids from that to complete that protein for you inside your body when you're digesting. Am I correct, Tara, by saying that?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why they're called essential, because your body can't do that on its own. And all the other ones your body does on its own.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to the next one.